Hello, Gareth here, Gareth Naylor, watercolor artist, and also I have lovely hair too. So I've been painting this picture. Well, this is my original picture and I've tried to improve it because I think it's not quite right. So I had another go. So this is a scene from Japan, Oita prefecture, and this place is just outside the city of Beppu. So there's something about this painting that I really like. I think the lighting is beautiful, really nice, and I think this mountain in the distance and the soft reflection, I'm not sure if that's realistic, but I like it, and I just think it looks really good. And also the dry brush or sparkle in the sea. And I also love this this cluster of rocks and the way they come out from the main piece of land in this way. I think that's really nice, and looking at it now and talking about it, I can see that in the new paintings I did of this, that I didn't get it quite right. For example, the way it starts out thick and becomes just this thin line. In a way that's so obvious, isn't it? But I've painted this picture now about 10 times at least, and I didn't have it ending up being this few little dots here. And it sounds maybe stupid to talk about something like that, but as I look at it now, I can see visually that's so important. So it starts out as this big cluster and ends up with just these tiny few bits around here and here. I can see how visually that works really well. And I'm glad I did this video because I just didn't see that. I knew instinctively, this is good, this is interesting, but I couldn't understand why, logically or whatever. And now this video has helped me to put it into words. I also like this shadow. I also like the way these these ripples, these sparkles curve. They're curving because of the curve of the land, and that's very exciting. I really like that, and that's something that I did capture. And I just love the touches of light here and the glow here and the curving sparkle. And then we've got this lovely cluster of rocks and then this dark shadow. And perhaps that's too dark, but I like it. And I really haven't made the shadow, maybe it's a reflection, right? I haven't really made this reflection dark enough. And I like the way you get this cut here of light or whatever it is coming through the reflection. That's nice. What I didn't like about this painting was the tree. It's okay, but it's not quite right, and it's actually too big. This is higher and the tree is smaller. But I don't mind changing things like that if I think it works better, but I'm not sure it does. I think it doesn't quite look right. And I didn't quite like this green mass. You might like it. Let me know in the comments. My feeling is mixed. I can't decide, because in one way that green's kind of interesting, and in a way it's kind of interesting, but in my other paintings I'm not sure if I went safer, but I turned it into a more brown, burnt sienna, a kind of browny golden kind of colour. But now I look at this, I'm not sure. I'm in two minds. Anyway, I'll show you what I did with this because it was a lot of fun. Now I might not have this in order. I'll just do my best. So I think this was the first attempt. How embarrassing. I've been painting for 20 years, and to look at this, it's like I should quit. I mean, goodness me. Okay, It's the tree, right? I had big problems trying to paint that tree, but I'll get to that later. So this is not too bad, but we haven't really got that glow effect because I haven't made the edges of this light area darker, and then it would have made it here much more glowy and yellow. I should have made these darker. So that was first mistake. Also, the dry brush is not very good for the sparkle. And then here, it's okay, but not great. And just pure rock. Not too bad, actually. But that tree is just disaster. It's a disaster. Okay, so that was the first one. Okay, then the second one. A little better. You can see I've got the golden yellow now in the sky, and the dry brush here, the sparkle is working better. The tree is better. This brown area at the top suggesting grass is better. So overall this is a much better painting. But that background mountain is maybe a bit too dominant, right? But it's still much better. Look at that. Although this one is a bit stronger, the landmass. It's a bit darker, isn't it? And I got maybe these rocks on this face a bit better. Look a bit better. But this doesn't look very good, does it? Not like the original one. That cluster. Because I haven't done, you know, it beginning big and then becoming just a few little dots, which looks great. So, on to the next one. Oh my goodness. Look at that tree. Anyway, the golden light didn't quite work. Mountain in the distance, it's okay. Dry brush, not so good. Here too. The rocks actually look fairly good here. And this is a little bit interesting, but I think this should become darker and darker. Start out light here and become darker and darker. I think that's better. And that tree, goodness me, why do I show these things to you? Well, I guess it's just a record to me because I'll just throw away all these paintings. Well, this one I'll do another painting on the back. The tree is too big, it's huge. It can happen when you paint fir trees because you keep getting it wrong and you've got too much water on the brush. So, yep, enough said. And then the next one. So the light is quite interesting here. You've got this lovely whiteness. The mountain in the distance is starting to look really good in this one. The dry brush, or what do I call it, sparkle, it's not so good. This cluster looks quite good. This looks good, but maybe needs to be darker here. And the tree, it's okay. It's definitely better than the last one. Of course, right? It'd be difficult to make something worse than that last tree. And I quite like this dark bit amongst the rocks. But it's all a bit, it needs something darker. It needs to be darker. It needs to be a stronger contrast. So yeah, neither here nor there. No, it's better. It's better. Okay, next one. So the mountain in the distance is great. The light is not bad. This cluster, just passing, just passable. The sparkle, still not really sparkling. This, it's okay, but it's not convincing. It's still not quite right. And the tree, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's not very good. Oh, I'll be happy to throw these away. Okay, so, well, I'll probably paint over the top of them and use them for doodles and stuff like that. I strongly recommend you do that. And the irony is sometimes I'll do a doodle here of like, I don't know, just a tree or a car or a figure, and actually it ends up being like a good painting by chance. that you'd never do normally. So that's just a creative hint, a really, really important creative hint. So at this stage in the painting, I realized that I wasn't painting good fir trees. And so I decided to just focus on painting fir trees, because if I paint like a beautiful sky, a beautiful sea, beautiful rocks and mountain, and then I paint this really awful fir tree, then that's a lot of wasted effort. So an important point, maybe this is obvious, Mickey Mouse stuff, right? But maybe it's not, I don't know. But if there's a difficult thing in your painting, or a tricky thing, or something that you're not painting very well, then on your scrap paper, just paint that thing again and again and again until you figure out how to paint it reasonably well. So you're not just wasting your time and painting a great picture and then spoiling it because one thing you can't paint well. So there's another great tip. So what happened is I painted lots of these. I'm not actually showing you everything I did. There's a few more things that I did that I'm not showing you. I think this is where we hit the jackpot. Yeah, because look, I did some more, not quite working. I did some more, Unbelievable. But this is what I mean. You've got to solve it. You've got to crack the problem. And you really need, another important tip, you really need to believe that you can solve the problem. Even if you're a bit of a, I don't know, C-grade student in life, like me, and at school, you've really got to believe you can solve the problem, because, you know, you are a human being, you have a human brain, you're not a monkey. And it's very likely that with enough focus, you'll find a solution. And that's a really good feeling when you do that. And it's a confidence boost. I don't like all this talk about love yourself or even hate yourself, but there is these stages of like having a problem and overcoming it, and then you get this feeling of competence. And I kind of trust that you can figure things out, and it's an essential skill. I just wish I did it in everything else, not just painting. Maybe my life be a lot better. So here I go, look at these guys. But I hope this is encouraging for you. So like when you paint a crap tree, sorry for swearing, but when you paint a bad tree, do not get downcast and think, oh, I should give up. Because look at this, 20 years of painting, and I painted a tree like that. But I also painted a tree like this. If you, whoops, just a minute. If you continue, you will get there. It's a lot about having faith. It's a lot about believing that if you focus on a problem, you will eventually solve it, that you are capable of doing that. And also, I did solve the problem, and this is how I did it, and common sense again. But artists, you know, we don't always have a lot of common sense, guys. Well, sometimes we don't, right? And sometimes we forget the basics because we get so involved in things that we forget about simple stuff. So what I did was I just went to Google and I typed in fir trees, and I saw these silhouettes of fir trees, and I didn't have to photocopy or anything. I just looked at the shape. Of course, there's many different kinds of fir tree shapes, but this is the kind I liked. This is the kind I thought, I can do this and it will look good. And basically this one is a kind of line going down. I think I used a kind of small bamboo brush. I like them compared to round brushes because you can get better edges, rough edges. And what I did is a line going down, and then I do a few lines at the top, and then some more lines curved like this, but a bit thicker, and then some more below that. And you leave these gaps. You see these this stem, but this is the trick. You carry on leaving these gaps, but then you start to fill in those gaps and they get slightly thicker, 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 thicker. You get it? And that was the trick. So I had to look and work it out, yeah? And another thing I tried to do was, first of all, I used something like phthalo blue and a dark brown like burnt sienna or burnt umber. Yeah. And then I tried to drop in touches of cobalt green. And it can work, but sometimes it didn't work. So if you do it just one colour, you'll probably have a fairly good looking tree. But I wanted to make one side a bit lighter so the sun was catching it. But you don't have to do that. You know, take these things, don't try and do too much too soon. Don't overdo it. If it's like becoming too painful and the joy's going out of it. Sometimes just keep it simple and do a nice painting. And here's some more practice. This is previous, yeah, this is previous stuff and this is previous stuff. But it gives you an idea of the kind of effort sometimes I have to put into a painting to make it work. And I must be a bit rubbish, to be honest, because I think a lot of artists, they just paint the picture and it's done. I mean, not me. Okay, I'm going to stop this video now because it's getting way too long, and then we'll just continue in a minute. Okay, so I'm back again, and this was the original picture, right? This was the original one. And then, and this is a bit hard, but the original one still has something better than all the new ones I've done. And you just have to be honest with yourself. Now, from this point on with my new tree, I started to paint fairly good pictures. I'm just trying to look for which one was next. I think it was this one. Could be wrong though. So now I think it's starting to look better. So the lighting is better, quite good. I like this grey sky and this grey mountain, and this sparkle is a bit better. And this cluster doesn't work right. You see how I didn't realize it should have been thicker here and then just become dots here. But I kind of messed that up. It's okay, but it could be better. The tree looks like a good tree, maybe a bit faint. And then this looks quite good. Maybe it should be darker here. But not bad, not bad. And then maybe this is the next one. So with the sky, I really went, can you see the yellow to the orange? I did it vertically, but it makes a really nice effect. It just really glows, doesn't it? You got this beautiful white here, and then you've got this lovely sparkle here. And the tree, okay, maybe it's not fantastic, but that's not a bad tree, right? It's really not a bad tree. It works. And almost I got the right thing with the rocks here. Almost becomes dots, but not quite. And I think this one looks nice. And this was painted on my smaller pad and cheaper paper. But sometimes on this paper, this cheaper paper, I paint my better pictures because I'm more relaxed. You know, it's cheaper paper. I feel like I'm just kind of sketching a bit. So that relaxed state leads to better paintings, yeah. Another brilliant tip here, but it's important. One is, do have a cheaper watercolor paper that's still quite good, and then have a quality watercolor paper, because you have to get used to that. And when you use the cheaper one, do be relaxed. Do feel like this is just throw away, because eventually you'll do really, really good paintings on that cheap paper. And that's another thing to realize, that when you relax, there's a certain relaxed state, you will paint better. It will just come with time. The more you paint, and having cheap paper that you just do quick paintings on, that will develop. And this looks quite interesting, and this is pretty good, but it's too samey. Needs to get darker. But it's got a nice feeling. It's got quite a nice feeling, hasn't it? Could almost be a book cover. Maybe not, I don't know. Okay, next one. Okay, so here's the next one. Oh, actually, this was before the other one. And this has a lot about it that's pretty nice. The sky's quite nice. Maybe I should have done, you know, like that whiteness we can't see so strongly, and it doesn't get like yellow then orange. So that could have been improved. The sky and the mountain is pretty good. The rocks are okay. The sparkle is pretty good. This is pretty good, but it's a bit boring, isn't it? I don't know why I did that kind of thing. I mean, the rocks here look quite interesting, but yeah, that going straight down, nah, didn't work right. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, and this is my final one, and it's still drying, goodness me. So, okay, going to get my fingers dirty here. Sometimes I just wipe the paint in. So, as you can see, it's still a bit wet. Am I getting better? But if you persevere, you will, bit by bit, get better. So I think the sky, the lighting works. It's not super dramatic, but it does work. The sky and the mountains in the distance, it works. I can start to see this shininess in the sea. This rock cluster is very different. Here we've got a few rocks, but here a lot, and here a big rock. That quite works, but it's a different arrangement from the original one, but it actually kind of works. I can see that working a bit. And this is quite interesting, but I just think it needs to be more darker. So, and maybe this shadow needs to be darker. I mean, it does look quite beautiful, but I think if it was darker, it would be better. So there you go. I think that's everything. And now for my ambitious one, and it's not done yet, but I'm going big. And this is the beginning of it. So this is the sky. And I almost want to leave it like that because it just looks so beautiful and pure. But you know, you've got to have courage. So I'm going to start this one now, and let's see how it goes. Now, one of the things I always recommend when you paint big, again, very common sense. When you go from small size to big size, your brush has to go from small size to big size. And there's many reasons why we don't do that, right? Because we have to buy another brush and it's more expensive, and maybe it's just habit, just not thinking, and just use the same brush. You desperately need bigger brushes. You need to be able to cover that space quickly to really make a good painting. And one of the things that is against me when I paint this is that I've used my biggest brushes already for painting this sky. I used a very big bamboo brush, and I'm going to have to use the same brush for this big painting because I haven't got a bigger one. So it's going to be a bit challenging, but let's see how it goes. I might be able to pull it off, but I think if I had a bigger brush, it would work out. It would work out better. So there you go. I'll be back soon and we'll see if it works. Did it. So took me about half an hour, and here it is. I'm quite happy because when I looked at the other paintings that I showed you before, when I looked at them, I thought they were good. But then when I saw them on this screen, I thought, they're not that good. Whereas this one, it's the opposite. When I looked at the original one, when I looked at it directly, I thought, it's good, quite good. But when I look at it on this screen, on this cell phone screen, I think, wow, looks really good, I think. Do you notice how I tried very hard? Can I hold this? I tried very hard to make this like thick and then go thinner into little bits. It probably isn't that obvious, but it works a bit. And can you see how that really looks nice? And it's that kind of visual understanding of clusters and shapes and patterns. Once you get a feeling for that, then you'll really make good paintings. But even me, after 20 years, I'm still not, still make mistakes there. Maybe this should be even thicker here, and then even a bit more bittier here. In the original one, I think there was just one rock at the end, and it gave it that lovely pointed shape. So maybe it could be, it could be improved. It could be improved. And here, I'm not sure if it gets noticeably darker, but the massive darkness is more. And here it gets noticeably darker. Here, lighter in the reflection, and then darker. And I think that looks really good. I think the tree is smaller looking because the whole paper is bigger. And I think that works well. I think that smaller tree looks a bit lonely. Maybe it looks a bit too perfect, that tree. I'm not sure. Not quite so wild and natural. I don't know, but I still quite like it. And then I went over this background mountain with some water, and with tissue, very carefully, I kind of softened it. A bit tricky to do that. I think the dry brush is working well here and here, wiping out dark paint there. I think that worked well. And here, not too bad. A little messy, but still good. And then we've got this lovely white light coming down here. It's very almost spiritual feeling. I love it. So I'm actually quite happy with that. And the more I look at it, I think, it's got something. It really has got something. So I'm also really happy because I did a big size, and that can be such a challenge. And hopefully when this is put in a frame, it's just going to look absolutely amazing. Okay, maybe that's a bit, it sounds a bit egotistical, but what the hell, you know? You have to step forward, right? So yeah, I think in a frame, it's really going to look good. So that's it, basically, guys. That's basically it, friends, right? And I hope you found this interesting. If you are an artist, I hope it shows you, put this down, it's very heavy. If you're an artist, I hope it shows you how you've just got to push through, no matter how bad sometimes your paintings look, because there is that suck, and it does suck. It really, really does. And you've just got to push through and keep going and believing, because if you do that, you will eventually end up with good paintings, but it does take time and it does take effort. And if you're someone who likes paintings, then I just hope you've enjoyed seeing this process. And that's it. Have a nice life. Well, I don't know how to end these videos. Well, I just hope you have a nice day. That will do, right? And hopefully I'll be back soon with a new project. Well, a new painting. In fact, I will. I've already got an idea. So I've been trying to do 50 paintings of Spain. And I knew something would interrupt it, and it did. I got up to about 16 or 17, which is not bad. But then something interrupted it. But I did ask people to send me photos of Spain that I might use for paintings, and 2 people did. So I feel a kind of obligation. I choose, yeah, to do like a painting from the photos they've sent me. So those might be the next 2 paintings that I have a go at. So what I really want to do in these videos with you is just really put it out there. I want to show you the whole process as much as possible. I can't do this stuff real time because when I'm actually painting, I just need to focus on trying to make a good painting, and that's my numero uno, my number one thing, to make a brilliant painting. That's really what I'm about. But lost my train of thought. But if I can show you some of the process, then yeah, I've got no idea what I'm talking about now. But anyway, I'm trying to find my way back to what the hell I was talking about. But yeah, I want to put it all out there, but I can't show you actual live painting at the moment because it would just confuse me and it would get in the way of making a great painting, because I need that time to really solve some of the problems and work out how to make a great painting. So hope you understand that. It was very messy, but that's also what I hope you see in these videos, that the creative process is very messy. It's not beautiful sequential process that we can follow every time and it works. So also I wanted to say something else, but I totally forgot what that was. Oh yeah, I want to put it all out there and show you the mistakes as well. Just I make so many mistakes, and how I get over the mistakes, and also things that I change in the painting and how it develops, and also why I like this painting and what's good about it, and also interesting details like that. And just a side note or an anecdote, it's like I got a message from my friend today, and he's what I would call a serious modernist artist. He's one of these people who goes away for 3 years and does his great art, and then he shows it. But the thing is, in today's world, I don't think you can be that kind of artist anymore unless you've got people out there who are going to show your work to others. And it's more and more difficult to get those kind of influencers or promoters. And so I got this message from him saying, oh, I did some great work today, or it was a great day in the studio. But the thing was, he's there in the studio making these beautiful works of art, but he's not telling anybody. Nobody knows. You know, he's there all alone. And I wonder how many artists, really good artists, really serious, passionate artists there are out there just like that. He's been doing that maybe for 30 or 40 years. Can you believe that? And he's basically losing money from his art. He's losing money. And just, to me, it was a wake-up call, because I was the same. For 5 or 6 years, I'd go into the Japanese countryside, I'd be painting, I'd really love it. It'd be a spiritual high. It's just when you're out there with that enormous blue sky above you, the sun shining on your face, in a rice field, looking at fantastic mountains, it's amazing. And I had a bit of a hard time because I was still learning how to paint, and it can be so frustrating. But it was also very enjoyable at times as well. But it was like I wasn't selling my work. Nobody knew about me. And the marketing side of stuff can be so painful. So basically, I've taken a tip from Seth Godin, and this is why I make these videos. So I basically kind of put the marketing into the actual creative process. That's what I'm trying to do without feeling compromised at all. And I don't really. And I guess that's because I've got a certain kind of confidence in painting now and my creativity. But what I do is I share my work with you and share the creative process. And I really hope you enjoy it. And it's so hard how to end these, but obviously I will learn how to do it. That's basically it for today. Oh, and those paintings of Spain will be coming soon. So have a good day. Bye.